I think we're good to go. Then Alyssa, thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Senator.
Morning.
Good morning.
Of course, I just lost my introduction sheet. Telling you. Sometimes I get so prepared, I'm not prepared. Oh, Joseph. I did put it down here somewhere. Oh, my pen. There we go.
I joined in this morning because I have a bill. I joined in on the public side and I was looking around. I'm like, I got none of my controls. You guys can't hear me. What's going on? Very confusing.
It's all right. We have the ability to silence you as well, so.
Everybody I've ever known has wanted that.
I doubt it. I doubt it. So. How are we doing, Alyssa? You give me the heads up.
Yep, we are live whenever you guys are ready.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. The committee is once again assembling today here electronically for the purpose of inviting public input and comment on legislation. Before we get started, I'm just going to share a few quick reminders related to how things are operating today. We are being live streamed on the committee's YouTube channel, which means that anyone who is a participant is in the meeting via Zoom. You can be seen and also heard, so be careful with your mic if you would. Keep it unmuted as much as possible. Obviously, and remember to mute it when, or unmute it when we call on you. People on the Zoom meeting waiting to testify cannot be seen or heard until they're called upon to speak. There'll be a delay or in that transition period when you go from basically observing to participating, but that'll just takes probably in the neighborhood of about 30 seconds or so. But then you come into view on the committee's YouTube channel soon after the meeting, soon after being called upon, okay? Shortly, I'm going to have the committee introduce themselves, we're going to ask that anyone that is testifying, if you would be kind enough to be sure that your name appears very clearly in your view box or on your screen, and that you identify yourself and your place of residence, please, as you come on. Thank you. The format, we still continue to work through any issues. Alyssa is outstanding in terms of helping us as our clerk, and there is an IT option should you need it, but we'll do our best to help you through. If you can communicate somehow to us that you're having trouble, we'll do our best to help you. Please, for all of us, just please use the chat function as needed, as that actually becomes part of public information, and just keep it in mind as you're moving along. All questions of anyone, please, if you would direct those through the chair, that would in most cases be myself or potentially Representative Sylvester. Basically, I will chair as much as possible today, and we'll call upon members for the public in order that they registered for you to testify, okay? When you're done testifying, it would be greatly appreciated that that you exit the Zoom meeting. You may continue to watch the hearing on the committee's YouTube channel. If you need to exit the meeting before you testify, please be aware that you may submit your written testimony at any time by accessing the legislature's testimony submissions page on www.legislature.maine.gov. Sometimes those waiting periods do get a little long. And again, just keep in mind, everything's being broadcast, recorded, and potentially, if you're a participant, you're going to be viewed. Just for introductions, my name is Joe Rafferty. I am in Senate District 34, which covers much of York County. I'm going to ask each of our committee members to introduce themselves, starting with Representative and Co-Chair, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Representative Mike Sylvester. I am the House Chair. I represent District 39, which is the Eastern Peninsula portion of Portland and the Fighting Islands of Casco Bay, and home of the Portland Observatory, which was the first signal tower of its kind, which had both a telescope and the ability to have signal flags, and so that they could communicate with ships coming in and out. So it was sort of the texting of its day, and it's the only existing such tower still up.
Thank you, sir. Senator Guerin, please.
Good morning. I am Senator Stacey Guerin, representing beautiful Southern Penobscot County, home of the Kenduskeag Extreme Canoe Race, which it was announced yesterday will take place this year. Only 150 vessels will be allowed, though, so register early.
Thank you. Senator Miramont.
Good morning. I'm Senator Dave Miramont, representing Senate District 12, which is Knox County, except the town of Washington, and the county seat is Rockland.
Thank you. Representative Bradstreet.
Hi, good morning. I am Representative Dick Bradstreet from House District 80, and that's comprised of Vassalboro, Windsor, Somerville, and part of Augusta.
Thank you, sir. Representative Cuddy, please. I know you're in the participant room, but.
Good morning. This is Representative Scott Cuddy. I represent House District 98, which is Winterport, Frankfort, Searsport, and Swanville.
Thank you. Representative Drinkwater, please.
Good morning, everybody. This is Representative Gary Drinkwater from District 121.
Thank you. Representative Gear.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tracy Gear, and I represent House District 9, which is Kennebunkport and the coastal parts of Biddeford and Kennebunk.
Thank you. Representative Morris.
Yes, good morning. I'm Representative Joshua Morris. I represent the towns of Turner, Leeds, and Livermore.
Thank you. Representative Pebworth.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah Pebworth. I represent House District 133 in the Blue Hill Peninsula, which is home to the town of Sedgwick, which is home to LL Frijoles, which is not LL Bean, but LL Frijoles, in case you need a burrito.
Thank you. Representative Prescott.
Well, hi, I'm Dwayne Prescott, House District 17. That would be Waterboro and part of Lyman.
Thank you. Representative Rader.
Hi, Amy Rader, representative for Maine House District 125, which is a portion of Bangor.
Thank you. And Representative Warren, please.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Representative Sophia Warren, representing part of my hometown, Scarborough Coastal District 29.
Thank you very much. I think I mentioned our clerk, Alyssa Thompson. She'll be taking the controls in terms of our meeting this morning. And we also have with us our analyst, Steve Langland. Steve will be with us, and you'll hear a lot from him today in terms of he's from the Office of Policy and Legal Analysis. So this morning we are going to hear testimony relative to LD 189, 190, 275, 319, 397. And for anyone that might have been here to listen to anything relative to LD 317, That has been tabled until further notice. So folks, thank you very much. First up this morning, we will hear and we'll start. I'm going to open the hearing in terms of this. Will have LD 189, which is an act to permit all public employers to implement payroll deductions for disability and life insurance policies. I believe the first, the sponsor is President Jackson. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Senator Rafferty and Representative Sylvester, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. My name is Troy Jackson. I have the honor of serving as president of the Maine Senate and of representing Northern Mercer County in Senate District 1. I'm here today to lend my full support to LD 189, an act to permit all public employers to implement payroll deductions for disability and life insurance policies. I believe this bill is pretty straightforward. It simply allows municipal and public employees to decide whether or not they would like to have payroll deductions for disability insurance and life insurance when it is offered to the employee's membership in an employer-recognized organization or in a collective bargaining agreement. The purchase of these insurance policies provide additional income security for the employees and their families. They also are more affordable for the employee because they can be purchased at a lower group rate. These better group rates and products cannot be obtained individually, and this is the only way they can be accessed at lower costs for employees. This better group rate and products, like I said, cannot be obtained any other way through the individual. Insurance companies are offering these benefits because they can count on regularly scheduled payments through the payroll deduction, thereby saving on administrative costs. The task of making such payroll deductions is obviously onerous. It's something that employees often offer. So in closing, I'd certainly thank you for your time and attention. I ask that you please would support LD 189, give our public employers, the option to purchase insurance policies that will help secure them and then the families of the employees. And I'm happy to answer any questions. There's others behind me that actually know more about it, but I'm certainly able to take any questions, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, President Jackson. We have any questions for President Jackson? Seeing none, sir. Thank you very much for being here today. And I think we'll see you shortly relative to another bill.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I got you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make my morning announcement for folks who are participants waiting to testify that there's a 3-minute clock. And I will, if you put your view to gallery, you will be able to see all of the committee members as well as yourself. And then I will be holding up a timer, which you will be able to see the timer on at the beginning of the session for 3 minutes. And then in the last 30 seconds, I will hold it up again so that you're able to see the countdown of your last 30 seconds. At the end of the time, I will ask you to please summarize your thoughts. And so thank you for that ability to make that announcement, Mr. Chair.
Thanks very much, Representative Sylvester. And Alyssa, I believe that we have some folks to speak for this bill. And on my list, I have Jeff McCabe.
Good morning, everyone. That moment when you're transitioned into the committee hearing, it kind of feels awkward, like you're waiting to be picked for a kickball team. I'll be honest. I always appreciate it when you do allow me to testify. It brings me back to 4th grade a little bit. So Chair Rafferty, Chair Sylvester, members of the Committee on Labor and Housing, my name is Jeff McCabe. I am the Director of Politics and Legislation for the Maine Service Employees Association. here today to testify in support of this bill. While we did not bring this bill forward, we support and appreciate the bill sponsor and those who brought this issue forward. We do feel these types of opportunities allow employees access to benefits that they may not otherwise be offered by their employer, thus making for better recruitment and retention. And with that, we just wanted to put our full support behind this bill today, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm sure you were always first person picked in kickball. But we have first question, if I could, Representative Bradstreet, followed by Representative Drinkwater.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. McKay, for being here. One is just a quick observation, another one is a question, and I'm kind of surprised this isn't allowed already. And secondly, is the bill designed, or would it include people who may choose to have an individual life insurance policy and allow for payroll deduction, or is this just for the people who are in the part of the collective bargaining agreement?
Thank you, Representative. I can absolutely provide some clarity for you for the work session. In registering and jumping on the committee hearing, I believe AFSCME brought this bill forward to the Senate President, and I'm hoping that there'll be an AFSCME representative to sort of explain the sort of the nexus behind this building, or this bill, I should say. That being said, we, in reviewing this at MSCA, felt that we would support this as it looks at providing this option for folks in municipal and county government. And this is, something that we look at it in our interpretation of this was that it would be a membership benefit, something that was offered through a collective bargaining agreement and through that membership. We have, and the committee has heard in the past, us discuss our income protection program that we have, which is a membership benefit, and it's a membership run program. So that actually has a governing board made up of elected officials within the organization. So that's sort of how we were looking at this. Down the road, we may have another type of benefit that then we could offer to our municipal and county units. We do have some municipalities that are part of our organization, and we do have also folks from York County as well. So often you'll hear the executive branch talk about this, when they talk about sort of benefits that are available to folks. So, but that's how I can answer it, and I think you'll probably be hearing from others.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just a quick follow. Yeah. And the reason I asked this early on is so that anybody coming behind you can pile in. So the question doesn't need to be asked again. So I appreciate anybody coming after you who could address that or anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Yeah, thank you, Representative Bradstreet. And I always appreciate the thoughtful questions.
Thank you both. Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Mr. McCabe. Nice to see you again on this spring day. Two things I've observed in this. I was just reading over the Section 1, 26 MRSA, and it says that a public employer may deduct. So may and shall has two different meanings. Maybe just down the road, we can get a clarification on that for the workshop. And second of all, having been on my local school board for a few years, we have that availability to the teachers and the ed techs. And that is not something that is done for free. There's something that the school charges an administrative fee because there is some work involved. Have you seen that in your experience also, that there are other units that do charge for this option?
Representative, that's a great question. I don't have an answer for that, but I can definitely ask the folks that process these types of programs within our organization, and get back to you on that. Absolutely.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for flagging that.
Thank you both. Any other questions, please, relative to no, seeing none. Mr. McCabe, thank you very much, sir, for being here. We appreciate your testimony, knowledge, and your ability to be available for us at our workshop. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I'll see you again later on today.
Thank you, sir. I think Alyssa is Jim Durkin up next.
Yep, promoting him now.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, and members of the committee. For the record, James Durkin here on behalf of AFSCME Council 93, and we proudly represent more than 2,600 hardworking public sector workers in the state. They work in a wide range of important jobs for the people of Maine, including public works, law enforcement, corrections, healthcare, and much more. And I am here today to testify in support of LD 189, which, again, would simply permit public employers to implement payroll deductions for group disability and life insurance policies that our members choose to participate or choose to purchase to provide a measure of income security for themselves and their families. As we all know, there's buying power in bulk purchasing, and our members are able to secure what is referred to in the insurance industry as preferred underwriting and guaranteed issue when they agree to purchase certain protections as a group. More specifically, through preferred underwriting, they can secure life insurance and short-term disability insurance at lower rates and without the risks of being rejected based on, say, the medical history of themselves or immediate family members. And through guaranteed issue, they cannot be rejected for such policies for any reasons. These preferred underwriting and guaranteed issue benefits are simply not available to workers who may want to purchase these insurance products individually. Perhaps more importantly, for today's purposes, insurance companies offering these products to our members with these enhanced perks won't do so unless they're guaranteed to receive payment through regularly scheduled payroll deductions. So in closing, I want to assure you we haven't faced any resistance or opposition from public employers on the merits of making these payroll deductions. They're simply looking to ensure that they can provide this service to their workers through authorization or permission in the law. And, you know, given what we've all been through over the past year, I can't think of a time when this type of income protection is more badly needed than now. I thank you for your consideration, and I'll be happy to answer any questions and try to address some of the other questions that came up before.
Thank you, Mr. Durkin. I see a question from Representative Prescott, please, sir.
Well, thank you. Do we have any public employees that get their regular health insurance deducted?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, sir.
Okay. Is there any public employees that already have payroll deduction for regular health insurance?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, through the employer-sponsored plans, you mean, sir?
Yes.
Yep.
For the public sector. All right. And somebody mentioned that they had some municipalities that were part of this. So some are, some aren't. Is that how it works?
That's correct. In our experience, some of these employees are just looking for the permission for the authorization to do it. We don't face a lot of resistance on this.
Yeah, kind of surprised that they can't do it on their own to begin with, but I guess that's why this is in front of us.
Yeah.
I know I've seen a bill like this before, and I don't believe it didn't pass because it became an unfunded mandate upon the municipalities, which is probably why they left the word may in there instead. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I can tell you that, in years past, a lot of these deductions needed to be processed manually. Now, with the software that's available, it's simply a matter of entering a couple of codes and entering names, and it's largely, if not completely, automated. So there isn't a lot of work involved with this stuff, at least as there used to be many years ago.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any other questions for Mr. Durkin, please?
I have one, Senator, and I can't seem to
Thank
find
you.
my
Yeah.
hand button, so.
It's all right.
Okay.
Thank you. Senator Guerin, please. We're good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. But there would still be a cost to the municipalities, correct? I know for my business, any payroll deductions that are in addition to taxes, we have to pay a fee to the bank for processing that, a weekly fee. So there would still be a cost to the municipalities, correct?
If there's software already in place, Senator, that allows for the processing of various deductions, I really don't believe there would be any additional cost. I mean, that's certainly something we could try to get clarification for in a work session. But again, it goes back to the may and the shall.
I would like to know if there would be an additional cost, because we have that type of software at our business, but we do have to pay the additional fee. So
may I ask Senator who you would have to pay the fee to?
Bangor Savings Bank.
Okay.
Bangor payroll.
Okay. I will definitely get some answers on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Durkin, thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate your testimony and your availability today and in our work session.
Thank you, Senator. Could I add just one other thing that may be important for the committee to know?
Sure.
Everyone should know that even though these plans are often brought in through the union, everyone should be aware that once they are in place in a municipality, they are available to everybody to buy into. So management personnel can also buy into it once it is in place, and that's just something that might make it a little more attractive. And again, given everything we've been through right now, this type of income protection is absolutely vital to individuals and families. So thank you for letting me add that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Melissa, do we have any other folks to speak for?
No, that was our last proponent.
Any folks speaking in opposition?
Nope.
And are there any folks in the neither for nor against?
No.
Thank you very much. So hearing none, I'm going to call the hearing on LD 189 to a close. Thank you very much. Next up, folks, we're going to address and hear some testimony relative to LD 190, and that is an act to amend the laws governing retirement benefit reductions for correction officers, currently included in the 1998 special plan. And I believe first up this morning, will be Senate President Jackson. Good morning again.
Hello, Senator Rafferty. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. It seemed like it was a little bit less than the last meeting, but I certainly appreciate it. Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. Once again, my name is Troy Jackson. I have the honor of serving as President of the Maine Senate and representing Northern Mercer County, Senate District 1. I'm here today to also lend my full support to LD 190, an act to amend the laws governing retirement benefit reductions for corrections officers, currently included in the 1998 special plan. Purpose of this bill, LD 190, is to include those few state correctional workers who are not included in the 1998 special plan for retirement. As background, the original intent behind creating the 1998 plan was to recognize the fact that certain public sector jobs, such as those in law enforcement, are inherently more dangerous and stressful than others. The mental and physical toll of guarding and protecting other officers and those under the care of the Department of Corrections is extremely burdensome and I would say very dangerous at times. Therefore, it is unreasonable to expect these workers to maintain their health and safety and stay on the job until what is considered normal retirement age. Unfortunately, the 1998 plan did not include all correctional facility workers. This bill is an attempt to mitigate that oversight. Undoubtedly, as those who testify after me will make plain, the 1998 special plan is very complicated, which is why from time to time, the legislature has recognized that those state employees who should be added to the plan. Each time, a new cost analysis must be done because the number of workers who may have qualified in the past has decreased. In closing, I would ask that you consider adding these dedicated workers to the 1998 special plan for retirement. I believe it's time to recognize their dedication and their service that they provide to the state. I also wanted to say that I think this might be the third time I presented before the committee. Obviously, I'm a former member of the committee and owe this committee a tribute here shortly. But the reason why I bring that up is that certainly I've dealt with this a lot on the committee in the past. I believe that we opened it up for fire wardens, forest rangers, you know, because of their law enforcement background. I think this is unfortunate that corrections officers were left out back in '98. It certainly has a cost to the state, but it certainly feels like it's a fairness issue to me. And the longer that we drag this out, obviously more and more people have retired, so the cost has gone down. You know, it's a handful, I believe 22 people that are to be left at this point, you know, that would be covered under this law change. But I still think it's important. You know, we had this bill last session, it died on appropriations table. Brought it back again because I just, you know, this is a tough job. I'm expecting people to be able to hang in there until you know, their mid-60s is very, very big challenge. Something I don't think I could do. So that's why I brought the bill back once again. Certainly more than willing to try and answer any questions. And once again, I appreciate your time and willingness to hear this this legislation.
Thank you very much, President Jackson. We have some questions for you. Senator Guerin, followed by Representative Bradstreet, please.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty. Welcome, President Jackson. Nice to see you in person. Hope we will be seeing you in person more often. I had a question, if maybe you can refresh my mind if we heard this bill last year. So most of the correction officers are already covered by this. Who are the ones that are not?
Honestly, Senator Guerin, I'm sure in your time now serving on the Labor Committee Main Retirement System, you've probably come to understand that there's a lot of inequities that's hard to keep up with things that have happened with the retirement. We had people pre-1998 that were all covered under one plan that were, you know, captured in the cliff. You had to have 10 years service before July 1st, 1992. So I honestly don't know the inequities, the difference in the inequities in this. I think we have like 2, maybe 3 different class of corrections officers that are getting a different retirement. But what I know is that there's 22 people that are captured in this going back to 25 years, I believe 25 years and out situation like we have for Maine State Police and other law enforcement. that's what I understand we're covering here today. I don't have the financial note at this point, but I'm sure it'll come. But you might get a better answer from Mr. Durgan, who's coming up behind me. But
A follow-up, Senator?
Yes, go ahead,
Um,
Senator.
So perhaps not for you, President Jackson, but for somebody following, what is the category these 22 people fall into? Are they no contact officers, officers that don't have direct contact with prisoners, or what is the category that left them out is what I'm looking to find
Sure.
out.
I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, they're full correctional officers. I mean, they deal with prisoners just like everyone else. I believe what you're going to see here is that they would have been able to get the 25 years and out provision, but for the change in the law back in '98. You know, they were under the same guidelines as Maine State Police at that time, but the legislature chose to create the 1998 special plan. They were working at that time and got captured into that, where everyone had to go to 62 years, whereas law enforcement only had to go 25 years and out. And so, you know, these 22 people were in the system at that time, were in law enforcement, you know, understood that they were going to be 25 years and out, but the legislature made a change and you know, kept them to the age of 62. So that's who's being covered in this legislation. People that, I mean, we used to refer to had the rug pulled out from underneath them. They believe they had one retirement when they started, and the legislature chose to change it on them. This would be changing it back to what they originally started under when they were employed by the state or on state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Bradstreet, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Jackson, for being here and presenting this. And again, this question is either for you or someone coming behind you who may be able to answer it. Is the fact that there are these two different plans, number one, is that something that was collectively bargained? That you seem to indicate that it wasn't. And if not, secondly, was this something that people made a choice on at the time it was initiated? Certain groups chose to do one thing rather than something else?
Yep. Sure. So Representative Bradstreet, I mean, I think you'll probably get a better answer from one of the actually corrections officers coming after me. But I mean, this is, I mean, and I've dealt with this a lot, and you all will too if you haven't already. This was a situation where, you know, someone started under state employment, believed they had a specific retirement plan, and somewhere along the line, while they had, you know, so many years, it would have been less than 10 years service at that point. But the rules of the game were changed on them by the legislature in a cost-saving measure, and what, you know, was considered law enforcement had, you know, different meanings to different people. Some people just believed it was state police, and that were the ones that were covered in the special plan. I mean, that's why it was special, because they were the only ones that had a 25-year and out provision. Throughout that time, since that time, you know, there's been people that came forward, like you said, you know, fire wardens, forest rangers, however, I would always refer to them as fire wardens, but they're forest rangers. They're law enforcement. You know, we added different people as time has gone on because, you know, you did understand how it wasn't fair to them too. And here's a group of people in corrections that certainly have a tough job too in law enforcement, and you know, are asking to be included in that special plan, feeling like they had the rug pulled up from underneath them. But I think you're going to hear directly from one of these guards as to what happened to him.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions of President Jackson? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir, for your availability.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good day. I believe the next up is going to be Matt Robbins. Morning, Matt.
Can you hear me, sir?
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I don't feel necessarily betrayed, as previously stated, but I'll give you my experience. My name is Matthew Robbins. I'm 53 years old. I started at the Maine State Prison in 1993. Currently, I have 28 years, 1 month, and 13 days with the Department of Corrections. I've worked at 3 different facilities throughout that time. Currently, my full retirement age is 63, 62 and a half, but 63 on paper. That would be another 10 years. I'm 53 right now. Okay, for the numbers, folks, early retirement would cost possibly up to 42% of my 50% at full retirement currently, leaving 8% plus taxes, which could be as high as 7.1%, plus property taxes and incidental. So that's a non-calculable figure. My time in the department, I've seen 6 friends take their lives due to the stress and the caustic environment of this work. We all deal with inmates, hands-on, day in and day out. 2555 would give me the opportunity, give me an option to check out other avenues or possibly leave the state, leave the department in a year and a half. So that still, it would open some doors, but give me time. The violence is increasing inside the walls, and that's just the nature of current events today, the drug problems throughout the country. We have to be on our game 100% of the time, watching our back, watching each other's back. They have to be in their groove, on their point, on their game 1% to get something over on us. That's the odds we face every day. We work a 12.3-hour shift at the Correctional Center, Wyndham. We don't have a break. That's agreed upon in the contract. We get meals, so we don't get a break. We get a break when we clock out at the end of that shift. I live in Augusta, so I've got an hour and 5-minute ride. On top of that, ideal conditions. Sometimes that ride is good coming home because I get to decompress. But sometimes it's hard to leave work and not bring it home. And that's just a condition of work that it's tough to deal with. But the opportunity to have the retirement fixed, amended, adjusted, however you want to call it, would be a good opportunity for a lot of people. Like I said, I've lost some dear close friends due to the stress in this work, and the violence isn't getting any better. And we do deal, there's not one guy that's in this rank and file my age or older that don't deal with inmates day in and day out. That's pretty much all I got. I appreciate the time and the opportunity. And I don't think it's realistic to expect somebody my age. I'm fit, but I'm not as fit as I used to be, by far. To stay in this kind of work, you've got to be in the game, in your head, on point all the time. And it's a serious challenge, and the stress is real. Correctional fatigue is real.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. That's your time, and we appreciate your testimony today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Robbins, thank you very much, sir. And I'm sorry for the loss of your friends and colleagues.
Thank you.
It's tragic. We do have some questions for you, sir, if you would.
Sure.
Representative Prescott, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Hello. I'm not familiar with the phrase direct care stipend. Is that a paycheck?
That's an hourly rate that's given to staff that have direct care. Pretty much, yeah. If you're in a housing unit, a facility, you have direct care. You're in contact with the population.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Sylvester, please.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins, I wanted to follow up on Representative Bradstreet's question in terms of, I know you went over this a little bit in your testimony, but this was not something that you were asked whether or not to opt in or out of. You were just opted out of it. Is that correct?
There was no, I came on in 93 and the retirement was what it was. I didn't know there was a modification. The dissemination of retirement and or options or policies really wasn't clear at that time. Like I said, I don't feel betrayed or misled. Like I said, it's just when I contacted retirement to see what the time was, they said, you have the special plan, your full retirement age is 63. I said, oh, how is that special? You know, it's a long time for anybody. If I was painting fences or mending houses or something like that, you know, it's a different 9-to-5 type of job that we do.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. Us guys in our 50s, we feel it a little more than we used to.
Right. We don't bounce back as quick.
Thank you both. Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So listening to your testimony, obviously it's a very stressful job. Burnout is real.
Yes.
Obviously, you do have the option to walk away at any time. Now, do you also have the option of taking all your money from Mainstay Retirement and putting it into your own retirement plan?
Not without a penalty, if I understand correctly.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Robbins? Sir, again, thank you for your service and my sympathies for the loss of your colleagues and friends. Good luck moving forward, and we hope potentially you may be available for our work session.
Thank you, Mr. Rafferty.
Thank you. I believe, Melissa, do we have Mr. Durkin up next?
Yes, I just promoted him.
Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Before I begin, if I could just ask that you could indulge me maybe for just a little bit longer than 3 minutes, because this is a complicated issue, but I believe when you hear the testimony I have prepared, it's going to answer a lot of questions, but it may go a little over. If you could just indulge me, I'd appreciate it. Again, Jim Durkin, for the record here on behalf of Council 93. Look, nearly 23 years ago, the legislature...
Yes, Senator.
I would just like to say, I think that we need to hold all people to the same clock, because when we start allowing variances, it becomes unfair. If I'm willing to go by the rules and someone else isn't, it just creates an unfair situation.
Thank you. Representative Sylvester?
Thank you, Senator Guerin. I was trying to jump in and I couldn't get myself unmuted before Mr. Durkin spoke. And so what I'm going to ask is I will restart the timer here. We're at 2:54. But at the end of 3 minutes, I'll ask you to summarize. And then I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions in which you may be able to get the information out that's in the rest of your testimony. But we do hold everybody to 3 minutes, Jim. And so I'm going to just get restarted here. At 3 minutes, I'll shut you down and we'll restart with questions.
Fair enough. Look, nearly 23 years ago, the legislature recognized that the job of a corrections officer can't be safely and effectively performed by people over the age of 55. So in an effort to protect the physical well-being of officers and the criminals they're charged with guarding and protecting. This new law reduced the minimum age one can retire without penalty by 7 years for every officer hired after the effective date of the law. The 98 legislation recognized a sobering statistic that corrections officers and their loved ones think about constantly, and that's the fact that, bluntly stated, corrections officers are not expected to live very long. Depending on the study, the average life expectancy for an officer is as low as 58, but no better than 63. So according to widely reported and accepted mortality rates for the job these men and women do for the taxpayers of Maine, the roughly 21 corrections officers who stand to benefit from this bill don't have a heck of a lot of time left on this earth. Under the so-called 98 special plan, every officer going forward was given the strong possibility that he or she could enjoy at least a few years of retirement before hitting that age when so many pay the ultimate price for enduring years of daily physical and emotional stress. And maybe, just maybe, by not working so long under such strenuous circumstances, the law also made it possible for these officers to be part of raising that expectancy age. That's why the 98 law was indeed special in so many respects, but there's one component of the law that isn't so special, and that's the one that holds about 21 of these officers to the old minimum retirement age of 62. You see, the 98 law protected all new officers going forward, but it held those who were hired before the law was passed to the old minimum age of 62 by imposing a penalty for those who would retire before that age. And in doing so, they asked these officers to choose one of two poor choices: retire at the recommended age of 55 on a pension that would make that retirement financially unfeasible, or work until 62, receive a modest pension, and live a much shorter life. Because this injustice has never been corrected over many years now, a lot of these guys and women choose option one and have wrongfully struggled financially because of that decision. For those who had to choose option two, well, they retired with a higher benefit, but they only collected those pension checks for a few years. So here today to respectfully request that you take immediate action and relieve these officers who were left behind from having to make that lousy choice. In closing, everybody knows this is a dangerous job, but what you might not know is that incidents of violence behind the walls of Maine's correctional facilities continue to worsen every year. According to statistics, which I can get in the questions, we had these in the last session. Documented inmate assaults on officers working for the Maine Corrections increased 820% from 2012 to 18. Inmate assaults climbed 325%. Yes.
That's the end of your 3 minutes, but I'm sure these statistics are things that we're going to want to dig into.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions of Mr. Durkin, please? Representative Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Durkin, I saw in your testimony that there was some statistics at the end there. Would you highlight what those are for the committee so that we can dig into them later?
Absolutely. Again, increased inmate assaults on officers increased 820% from 2012 to 2018, and inmate assaults climbed 325% during the same period. Another statistic, while the trend nationally is a decrease in prison populations, Maine's heading in the other direction. This is according to the Federal Bureau of Justice Statistics. The state's prison population jumped from about 2,000 prisoners in 2012 to 2,480 as of March 2019. So in short, our prison system is increasingly becoming more crowded and more violent, and these 21 officers are being forced to do a job where it's becoming increasingly more difficult for them to safely do it. It's unfair, it's unsafe, and it's unsustainable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I served in the Air Force for 6 years. Starting out, I was on the front line. As time went on, I got a little bit more rank and I became more of an administrator. So I might understand, like, these workers that are over the age of 55, They are still frontline workers, or are they more of administrative task now?
They're absolutely frontline workers, Representative. These are corrections officers. Again, if they were hired after '98, when the new law was passed, no penalty. They can get out at 55. But if for some reason, which I've never been able to get an explanation for, and I wasn't around in '98 in this job, whether it was a loophole, whether the bill was just poorly drafted, these now down to 2021 officers that were hired before '98, they get hit with a significant penalty if they want to retire at the widely accepted age of 55.
All right, so just so I'm clear, you're telling me that if I've been in the Department of Corrections working in a prison, and I've been there for 30 years, I could still be doing the same job as I did on day one that you hired me?
Absolutely.
There's no promotion.
Oh, there is, but there's certainly promotional opportunities. But these gentlemen are still on the front lines doing the work of corrections officers.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Any other questions, please, of Mr. Durkin? Seeing none, sir, again, thank you for your testimony. We appreciate you being here, also for your service, and look forward to potentially hearing you at our work session. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
We have no opponents to be heard from this morning, but we do have a representative from Maine PERS that will address some issues neither for nor against LD 190. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank
Okay.
you for being here.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and members of the Labor and Housing Committee. My name is Kathy Morin. I'm the Manager of Actuarial and Legislative Affairs for the Maine Public Employees Retirement System. Maine PERS is neither for nor against LD 190. We're here just to provide you with information and offer whatever assistance we can to you as you consider this bill. Last week, we provided the committee with a chart that shows the differences in the state-sponsored plans that we administer. The group included in LD 190 is covered by the 1998 special plan. Under that plan, participants become eligible to retire either by accruing 25 years of service in a covered capacity or by accruing 10 years under the 1998 special plan and attaining age 55. Under the first provision, all service in a covered capacity is counted towards meeting their 25-year requirement, while under the second provision, only service earned in a covered capacity after the date that a specific group is included in the plan is counted toward meeting the 10-year requirement. Benefits are calculated based upon the plan under which the service was earned. The result for those members with some service in a regular plan and some service in a special plan is what we call a split age reduction, such that the regular plan service is reduced for early retirement prior to 60, 62, or 65, and that depends on which plan the person would have been a participant in. And the special plan service is reduced for early retirement only if retirement is prior to age 55. Members with all or a high percentage of their service under the 1998 special plan are more greatly advantaged by that plan. LD 190 would change the manner in which certain Department of Corrections employees are included in the 1998 special plan. Specifically, it would treat all service, whenever earned, as being earned in that plan, and therefore no longer subject to the split age reduction. The bill would have a fiscal impact in that it would require immediate funding of the increased liabilities created by permitting past service of the covered employees to be included in the special plan, and that's in accordance with the state constitution. During the 129th legislature, the committee considered LD 1842, which included the same proposal as is in LD 190. At that time, Maine PERS estimated the cost for the plan change to be approximately $472,000. If you move forward with this bill, and we will work with the department. And last year, we also worked with AFSCME and other groups on identifying the population, make sure it's the same population that we included last year, so that we can make sure that those costs are up to date. Thank you for your consideration of this testimony. I'll be happy to answer any questions and will be available at your work session.
Thank you, Ms. Moran. We do have some questions for you. We're going to start with Representative Drinkwater, followed by Representative Rader and Cuddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, we heard testimony that obviously there's a lot of burnout in these high pressure jobs. Let's say that they wanted to leave at the age of 58. They couldn't take it anymore, but they were going to go work for the private sector. And they wanted to sweep out their main PERS money and put it into their own 401k. Can that be done without a penalty?
So you're talking about a withdrawal of their member contributions?
Yes.
Yes. So they certainly could withdraw their member contributions. Any penalty would be not a main PERS penalty. There could be taxation issues that come along with withdrawing funds from a pension plan that they may be subjected to.
Yes. It depends on what type of account they put it in, obviously. But as far as main PERS goes, no penalty.
That's correct. One thing I would just note, just to kind of complete this picture, is most of the employees in these positions have what we call employer paid contributions. So the employee contribution is very minimal as compared to, say, a state employee in a regular plan, for example, pays 7.65%. And many of the employees in these special plans pay 1.15%. So any amount of withdrawal may be minimal in terms of moving that money over.
And why is the rate so different? Because of the type of job?
I believe that aspect of it is collectively bargained, so that there are typically law enforcement positions are bargained so that the employer picks up the majority of the contribution and the employees only pay that 1.15%. I believe that's through collective bargaining.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Rader, followed by Representative Cuddy, Sylvester, and then Senator Guerin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two quick questions. How would this be implemented? Can it be implemented as written? And also, do you have an estimate on how many folks this would affect?
Sure. So we worked with the committee and the stakeholders and the analysts last year on this bill, and this is the same language. We could implement it as it is drafted. It's a very specific group. We calculated last year, I think there were 30 people that came up on the list that we ultimately agreed with the stakeholders on as to who would be covered by this plan change. But it could be implemented as it is drafted. That 30 may change with the passage of the time. There may be somebody that's retired, for example. I mean, that's what we need to look at in terms of establishing whether that cost is still the correct cost. You're welcome.
Thank you. Representative Cuddy, followed by Representative Sylvester and Senator Guerin.
Thank you very much, Senator. And thank you, Ms. Moran, for being here. Your input is always invaluable.
Thank you.
I was remembering the discussion last time through, and I thought I remembered that we identified, or at least discussed, that there were a lot of other groups within corrections that could be covered by this. And I was wondering if it would be possible for you to generate sort of numbers around if we were to cover everybody who might be eligible. Were we not solely talking about this one group, but if we're talking about there were some supervisors who might be eligible, there were a level of captains or I don't remember exactly all the terms, but there were a number of different people that could be eligible. Can you generate numbers around that?
We can. We did that work last year, if you recall, and it was a much bigger group. I believe it was 130, 140, something like that, people
right.
that we started with in terms of people who were subject to the same benefit calculation. And through the work last session, it got honed in, the language got honed in on this group that's included in this bill, really tied to that direct care stipend, which limits the number of people. And some of that's, I believe, a terminology thing in terms of how people get paid. But that's how we got down to the 30. But we can of course broaden that back out, give you the bigger scope again, if that's what you're looking for, in terms of the corrections employees who are, in fact, all the corrections employees who are subjected to this, what we call the split age reduction, and give you the cost for that, and give you the information again from last year as to what those positions are, for example.
Yeah, I would be very interested in seeing that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Representative Sylvester, am I in order right? I might have lost you. Representative Sylvester, then Senator Garin, and Representative Rader.
That's perfect, Senator. Ms. Moore, thank you for being here today. I was trying to answer some questions in the queue and listen at the same time, and I missed the total. Can you remind me what the fiscal note was for last year on this?
Yeah, it was about 472,000.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Senator Garin.
That was actually my question, so I'm putting my hand up.
Thank you. Representative Bradstreet, followed by Representative Gear.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Moran, for being here. Maybe this might be more for the analysts for the work session, but I'm still trying to find out why there were these different plans as of a certain date. And I'm wondering is this something done intentionally by the legislature? Was it a part of an agreement that different parties made? That's what I'm trying to find out. It seems strange that the legislature would unilaterally just separate these groups to me. Thank you.
I can briefly address that if you'd like. I was here in 1998 actually when this plan was created, and my recollection is that there had been some groups that were in special plans, and then some of those groups lost the special plans, and people got put into regular plans, and the groups kept coming forward, and so there was a study done at that time to basically create, at the time it was called a uniform plan, and the hope was at that time we're creating a plan, people are going to go into it, people are going to be treated the same, and it's going to be a one and done kind of a situation. What we've found and you've found is that each session groups come forward who try to modify that plan or get treated differently. But the intent at the time, as I recall, was to start a plan, to start it from a point going forward, and to I mean, they were at the time, the constitutional amendment was in place where they couldn't create an unfunded liability. So they basically drew a line in the sand and said, starting July 1, 1998, we're going to put these groups and the original groups that went into the plan were groups that had previously had special plans but did not anymore. So they took those groups first and they put them in this plan, and they said from this point forward, we're going to cover these groups into the special plan. And they, at the time, acknowledged that it wasn't a perfect fix, that there were people who were in those special plan positions. It was the financial situation where they didn't have, you couldn't come up with the money to pay for the unfunded liability that would be associated with the time already rendered. But from that point going forward, they were providing those special plan benefits to these groups. And eventually it would fix itself in that anybody hired after a certain date, all of their time would be into this new plan. But for those who were already in place when the plan got created, there was an acknowledgement that they weren't going to be treated the same as people going forward. And realistically, it was a matter of being able to pay the unfunded liability cost as you face now and as these bills come forward to you. I hope that's helpful. I'm sure your analysts can backtrack into some of that history also, but it's a very complicated history when it comes to special plans.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have Representative Gear, followed by Representative Cuddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, as always, Ms. Moran, for bringing your expertise to us on this. I'm curious as to whether there is a risk to the state of an age discrimination action or lawsuit coming, seeing as it seems to me that the main issue here is that the folks who were not, who were already hired and working at the time are simply older than the folks that were hired after them. So I'm just curious, is that a risk?
I don't have an answer for that. We can certainly look into it, and we can work with your analyst on that. It's not an issue that I've heard brought up in the past, but it's certainly something that we can look at.
Thank you. Representative Cuddy?
Thank you very much, Senator. I actually wanted to ask two things for the work session. One, it might be helpful and advisable to have somebody from the Department of Corrections here, as we're talking about sort of their workforce to help, they could help us get a handle on it. And especially if we're talking about certain items that could be negotiable within the retirement picture. I mean, it'd be good to have the Department of Corrections here for that. And I also wanted to ask Ms. Moran if for the work session, if she could figure out how many times she's had to explain the 1998 special plan to all of the new legislators as we come in here. I'd love to see that number. That one would just be fun. Please don't put any time into that.
Take each session by about 10, probably. Take each session since 1998 by about 10, and you might get in the ballpark.
Probably 1,998 times. In any case. Representative Bradstreet, I see a hand up.
Not anymore, you don't. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Thought I took it down.
That's okay, no problem. Ms. Moran, for me, 98 seems to be the magic number in terms of you're either in one plan or another. Is it possible to provide us for the workshop if we had a person hired in 97 and give us what it would look like for them to retire at 55, and then have a person hired in 99 and do a little comparison side by side if they were hired 97 to 99 and then both retiring at 55.
Sure, we can put together an example for you.
Thank you very much. And Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You just sparked a question by your question. We see in education that teachers are able to retire early and then go back to work during retirement and work at like half salary. Does the same apply to the Department of Corrections?
It does. All groups are essentially covered by the same return to work provisions. Whether or not the Department of Corrections hires people back, of course, is a question, but the same return to work rules do apply to all the different groups.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of Ms. Moran? Again, thank you for being here and especially for your expertise. We appreciate it and look forward to your help as we move into the work session.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah, I'll be on the next couple bills, so we'll talk again.
Okay, thank you. Alyssa,
So
we have one more speaker, I believe, correct?
Yes, I was mistaken, and we have one more proponent, Adam Good, who I'm promoting right now.
All right. In the meantime, Representative Drinkwater, did you have a question, sir?
You caught me, Mr. Chair. I forgot to put my hand
No problem.
down.
Let's not pretend I'm on top of things here, okay? Mr. Good, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here today, and I'm sorry you were overlooked.
I'm sorry for all of you who were anticipating me and not be on here, and now you're stuck with me. So
that's okay.
It's okay. We know there's some challenges with the remote work. Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, my name is Adam Good, Legislative and Political Director for the Maine AFL-CIO. We represent 40,000 working people in the state of Maine. We testify in support of LD 190. I don't have a lot to add beyond what Mr. Robbins gave in his testimony. I would just say that working people who who serve as corrections officers perform physically and emotionally strenuous work. I think that happens throughout the course of their careers. The hallmark of the labor movement, that people should be able to retire with dignity and respect, and that there should be fairness on the job amongst all workers. This bill obviously corrects an inequity that has resulted in a group of corrections officers not being able to retire until they're nearly the same age as the life expectancy for those people in their line of work. And I think there are many studies that we can share that state that the life expectancy for corrections officers is between 57 and 62. And I think the gravity of this issue is that, that's the fact, people that do this work, and regardless of how they progress in terms of the seniority within their position, there are corrections officers who are wrestling with prisoners at age 60, 61, 62, and that's their life expectancy, and they should be able to retire. And I think that if I was going to add one thing, it has a lot to do with the question that Senator Rafferty asked Ms. Moran just prior to me coming on here. My understanding is that if you have a corrections officer that is 59 years old who started working in 1996, working alongside a corrections officer that's 56 years old who started working in the year 2000, that there's just a very different retirement scenario for each of them, and they could literally be working alongside each other, have put in a very similar amount of years, and have very different financial consequences for when they retire. And that is on top of the fact that their bodies and minds have been really decimated after the years of this type of work. So that's the extent of our testimony. Happy to answer any questions. We just want to be supportive of Mr. Robbins and other people that he works with in the corrections industry.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Are there any questions for Adam, please? Seeing none, thanks again for your testimony. We appreciate that, as well as your presence here, and look forward to working with you some more.
Great.
Alyssa, have we, anyone else in waiting of, I don't see any myself, but.
As far as I know, that is actually everybody.
Okay, well, hearing all testimony relative to LD 190, I'm going to call this hearing closed. And next on our agenda will be LD 275, which is an act to amend the retirement laws pertaining to certain educational technicians. And that is being presented by one of our own, Representative Cuddy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. My testimony is going to be pretty short today. So Senator Rafferty represents Sylvester, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. My name is Scott Cuddy. I am from Winterport, Maine, and I represent Winterport, Swanville, Frankfort, and Searsport. I'm not an expert in this area. There are people coming after me who are, but this bill is a bill that this committee passed unanimously last year before we adjourned sine die, and unfortunately never returned, so the bill died after that adjournment. In essence, this bill removes EdTech 1s from the Maine retirement system. They were included by an earlier change of law, and it was found that that was not in their best interest. And as I said, there are experts on the issue coming to testify behind me, and I'm happy to share all of my ignorance with you if you have any questions for me, but otherwise I will allow them to handle the heavy lifting.
Thank you, Representative Cuddy. Anyone want to pose a question before we move on to further testimony?
I have plenty of ignorance to share, so.
We'll save some for later then. All right, thanks. I believe, and Alyssa will correct me, but I believe that we have a couple of folks for, and we'll hear from some folks neither for nor against. But first up, I think, is John Kaczynski. And John will be speaking for LD.
Hello, good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and other esteemed members of the Labor and Housing Committee. Can everyone hear me okay? Excellent, thank you. So I have sent my testimony over. I'm going to hit some of the highlights. As I said, my name is John Kaczynski. I'm here on behalf of MEA to testify in support of LD 275 and appreciate Representative Cuddy bringing this bill back again this year. The MEA represents approximately 24,000 educators in the state, including ed techs throughout our public, or ed technicians throughout our public school system. This bill really is a technical fix to current state law to align current law and practice for ed techs, given a change in rule and law that took effect on July 1st, 2018. So we can't blame Representative Drinkwater for this. That was before his time on the Education Committee. But a bill was proposed last year as well, LD 1949, to address this, and it passed unanimously by this committee, but failed final action when the legislature adjourned due to COVID. Essentially, the change was a change by the Department of Ed where they changed the terminology for ed techs from authorization to certification. There's a two-pronged rule on whether or not who qualifies for MEPERS in education. And one rule is if you're certified, you qualify. So this change inadvertently allowed ed tech ones to access MEPERS, and that was never the intention. It was simply an oversight. We believe ed tech one should remain in Social Security and not in the teacher plan. Ed tech one positions are lower wage, and there's people move in and out into different Social Security based jobs, and therefore Social Security is a better option for them. So this is just a technical change. I know my friend Kathy Morin from MEPERS is going to testify as well. I'm happy to answer any questions and hope the committee will vote unanimously ought to pass. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions of Mr. Kaczynski? Appears to be none at this time, John. We thank you for your testimony and being here today, and potentially we'll need some help for you as we get into our work session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. I believe, Alyssa, we're going to hear from Steve Bailey.
Yep, I think he's turning his camera on.
Yes, good morning, Senator Rafferty and Representative Sylvester and members of the Labor and Housing Committee. I am Steve Bailey and glad to be here today. I'm the Executive Director of Maine School Management Association, testifying today on behalf of the legislative committees of the Maine School Boards Association and the Maine School Superintendents Association in support of LD 275. I believe Mr. Kaczynski did an excellent job of outlining the reason for the necessary changes, and I'll provide a very brief statement to support what he has indicated. This bill will correct an earlier drafting error in language that assumed all ed techs paid into the Maine State Retirement System. Certified school staff are part of the retirement system, and education technicians 2 and 3 are certified. What we refer to as educational technicians 1 do not pay into the system because they are not certified, and that language specification was given to you in terms of definition by Mr. Kaczynski. This bill is necessary to correct the error and avoid all confusion in the field, and we would highly support that and hope that you would vote unanimously in favor of it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I do see a hand up. Representative Bradstreet, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Bailey, for being here. So currently ed techs ones pay into Social Security. That's what they're doing now. Is that correct?
That's what they had been, and that's what they should continue to be, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Representative Sylvester, please.
Just to follow up on that, because it gets confusing, right? Ed Tech ones were in Social Security. They got moved inadvertently into MEPERS.
Right.
Although they may also work other jobs where they pay into Social Security already, or have worked those jobs before, or will work those jobs afterwards. And so by being in MEPERS, they end up getting a penalty on their Social Security for whatever small amount that they put in there. Would that be a fair summary?
That would be a very fair summary. And yes, they should not be in main PERS.
Appreciate you.
Thank you both. Any other questions of Mr. Bailey? Sir, again, thank you for being here today. We appreciate you doing so, your testimony as well as your expertise. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you very much.
And there are no opponents is the message I'm receiving. And I believe that we will hear again from Ms. Moran of Maine PERS, speaking neither for nor against.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and members of the committee. I am still Kathy Moran from Maine PERS. We are, as we typically do, testifying neither for nor against this bill, primarily because we don't typically take a policy position on bills and coverage. We are, however, supportive of this bill and that it seeks to address an unintended change in membership policy for a specific employee classification. Maine PERS administers a defined benefit retirement plan for public employees, including those who meet the statutory definition of teacher. There is a two-pronged test to determine whether a specific position meets this definition. The first is whether a position requires certification by the Department of Education and the person filling the position holds the appropriate certification. For those positions and employees who do not meet that test, the definition is that if the principal function of the position is to introduce new learning to students. Individuals who meet either of these definitions are mandatory Maine PERS members in the teacher plan. LD 275 addresses Maine PERS membership for educational technicians, of which there are 3 levels. Historically, based on job responsibility and certification requirements established by DOE in their rule, Chapter 115, the positions of educational technician 2 and 3 have met the definition of teacher under the second test, as I just described. However, the position of educational technician 1 has not met the definition of teacher, and therefore employees in those positions most typically participate in Social Security. As a result of statutory and rule changes made in 2017 and 2018, educational technician 1 positions now require certification, which would make people filling those positions mandatory members of Maine PERS and ineligible for Social Security. Maine PERS has discussed this matter with DOE as well as with the Maine Education Association, and there is agreement that no intent existed to change the treatment of educational technician 1 positions for retirement plan purposes. The proposed bill would correct this unintended result by excluding from mandatory teacher membership those educational technician positions that do not require certification under Title 20A. That section requires certification only for educational technician 2 and 3 positions. Educational technician 1 positions, which are required to be certified under a different statutory provision in DOE rule, would be restored to the status quo, allowing those employees to continue to participate in Social Security. Thank you for your consideration of the testimony, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and will be available at your work session.
Thank you again, Ms. Moran. Are there any questions of Ms. Moran? Seeing none, I thank you again for your testimony and your offer to work with us in our work session. I think I might somehow ask Alyssa to kind of keep you in the wings. It seems like we're going to hear from you often.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Alyssa, no other testimony that I see?
That is correct.
Thank you very much. In the event, obviously, we have no other testimony to hear. I'm going to call the hearing relative to LD 275 to a close. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Senator Guerin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering if the committee would have any interest in moving directly into work session.
I am not even seeing, I see maybe one head nodding. Representative Sylvester?
Thank you. Just for those who might not understand, Senator Garen's proposed motion is we are allowed to bring a bill directly into work session after hearing. If you remember, when we have a work session, there's a little bit that Senator Rafferty reads about there being 15 minutes afterwards. A motion can be made to go directly into work session as long as nobody opposes that. We can waive the 2 week, or actually there is no posting time on work sessions. And go directly into that. So if Senator Garen made such a motion, I would second it.
It's so moved.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. I did see a hand up. Is there any discussion?
That was my hand, Senator, but I took it down.
Okay, thank you. Senator Garen, discussion?
No, I forgot to lower my hand.
No problem. The only question I would have, and Steve, do you have any, would you be good with us going to work session at this point?
Sure. You're the committee. You can always do whatever you want. Kathy said that it's basically a technical fix. If there are any issues, I can certainly bring it back to the committee if you vote it. The only thing that I would point out is there is a preliminary fiscal note available, and I did put that in the chat. So typically, and I wanted to say this now for a couple of work sessions. So typically, the motion will be ought to pass, but we don't know if there's going to be a fiscal note when that motion is made. So if there is a fiscal note required, that technically changes it to ought to pass as amended. So if you see a bill that you know you voted ought to pass on and you see that it's reported out as ought to pass as amended, the fiscal note is the amendment on that. So that's the only thing that I would say. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that as things start happening. But yeah, I mean, okay. you can certainly do whatever you want as the committee. And if there are issues, I can always bring it back.
Thank you, Steve. I'm going to go to Alyssa, only in that there might be a technical issue here that we have had some. Do we need to transition from one format to another, or are we good to continue?
No, we are good to continue.
Okay, so I am going to ask for about a 2-minute break. I want to make sure I have my workshop script in front of me so I don't error in any way. So if you could just give me a 2-minute recess, I'd appreciate it. Actually, I'm sorry. Before doing so, I don't think we voted on that. So you still with me? No, we're leaving. Well, we'll come back. We'll have to vote on it. Is everyone still with me? Yes, because we didn't actually address the motion. So there's been a motion to move to a work session. It has been seconded. And all those in favor, if you would, give me a hands up. Okay, we have, that carries. Thank you. We'll be in work session. And again, give me 2 minutes, please, if you would. Thank you. Welcome back.
Are you ready for a motion, Senator?
I am. Thank you.
I would move on to pass on LD 275.
Seconded.
A motion's been made, seconded by Senator Guerin, seconded by Representative Sylvester. Any questions, discussions? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. Alyssa, if you would do the roll, please.
Certainly. And I would just remind members of the committee that I can't register your vote if your camera's off. Senator Rafferty.
Yes, ought to pass.
Rafferty, yay. Senator Guerin.
Yes.
Guerin, yes. Senator Miramont. I will come back. Representative Sylvester.
Yes.
Sylvester, yes. Representative Bradstreet.
Yes.
Bradstreet, yes. Representative Cuddy. I will also come back. Representative Drinkwater.
Yay.
Drinkwater, yay. Representative Gear.
Yes.
Gear, yes. Representative Morris.
Yes.
Morris, yes. Representative Pebworth.
Yes.
Pebworth, yes. Representative Prescott.
Yes.
Prescott, yes. Representative Rader.
Yes.
Rader, yes. And Representative Warren.
Yes.
Warren, yes. Senator Miramont, are you back? Okay, so I'm going to call it with 2 absent and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yays. So unanimous of those present.
So we have 11-0 to 2, correct?
Yeah, and just a reminder that those who are absent, they have until noon on the second business day. So they have until noon on Friday to register their vote if for some reason they don't today.
Thank you. And we'll make sure as those folks enter the picture, actually we have one just returned. Representative Cuddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're looking for a vote.
We actually were in the we are in the process. We're waiting on you, sir. We were going to allow you that time to think. And just a reminder that a yes vote would be yes, ought to pass, or no, meaning you're not in favor of the bill.
Yes, I vote ought to pass.
Cuddy, yes. So that
Thank you,
is
sir.
12 yays and 1 absent.
Thank you very much. And I will call the work session to a close. And we will return to our public hearings. And the next public hearing will be relative to LD 317. I'm going to call that public hearing open. LD 317 is
Senator Rafferty.
Yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt. 317 is the one that we tabled.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for keeping me awake. 319. Sorry, that was put on. That was tabled. 317 was tabled. 319. An act to promote socially responsible investing by the Maine Public Employees Retirement System by prohibiting investment in the fossil fuel industry or for-profit prisons. And that is being sponsored by Representative Brennan.
I'm not seeing Representative Brennan. Would you like me to try and find his number to call? Or
if we could, we can give him a couple of minutes. I know his committee is in session right now. He's in ed. So We'll take a 3-minute break while Alyssa tries to track down Representative Brennan. Thank you. Thank you, Alyssa.
He came in on his own. His phone rang once and then I saw him and I was like, I'm just going to hang that up.
I'm sure he was in one committee with an ear on the other.
Well, Senator Rafferty, we're missing you over in education right now.
Well,
and I'm making a transition between teacher healthcare and divestment.
Wow. Thank you very much for getting here and for the work you're doing in education as well. I know typically what happens with me is I get out of this, and somewhere between now and our next committee meeting, I'll be looking at you on video or YouTube, I guess, technically YouTube. Trying to play catch up. Wait a couple more seconds for Representative Bradstreet and Representative Morris. They will want to be sure we have a quorum, which I think we do. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and Representative Brennan, thank you very much, sir. You're here today to speak to LD 319, which is an act to promote socially responsible investing by the Maine Public Employees Retirement System by prohibiting investment in the fossil fuel industry or for-profit prisons. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Senator. It's good to see you. And also Representative Sylvester and members of the committee. I'm missing Representative Drinkwater. We served on education last year, and Representative Prescott and I were on health coverage for the last 2 years. So it's good to see the two of you on the Labor Committee today. I'm glad that Senator Rafferty read the title of the bill, so it'll spare me the necessity of going through a rather long bill title. And I am not going to read to you my testimony. I'm sure that you've gotten a copy of it and that it is available to you, and you can read it at your leisure. So let me say this. In 1999, in December of 1999, I introduced this bill in the second session of the 129th legislature. It did not get past legislative council, and it failed on a 5-5 vote. And that's why I brought it back this session. But in preparation for presenting the bill in 1999 and legislative council, I read the Maine Piers investment policy. It was somewhere between 65 and 70 pages. It was obviously a lengthy document, and it covered any number of different issues. But after reading all 65 pages, I could not be assured that the state of Maine was not investing in fossil fuels or for-profit prisons. And that's why I thought it was important to bring this bill back again for discussion, because I think that, again, without belaboring my testimony and other comments, at this particular point, it's somewhat contradictory to our state goals in terms of climate change and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, and simultaneously investing and, quote, having a financial interest in companies that are engaged in fossil fuel activities. I also feel the same way about for-profit prisons. And certainly 2 years ago, there was much more attention because of things that were happening in the border on for-profit prisons. But clearly across the country, there's a rethinking about for-profit prisons. And as I mentioned in my testimony, one of the problems with for-profit prisons is that they have a vested interest in continuing to incarcerate people. And again, that runs counter to what we're trying to do in the state of Maine, and I think across the country. Secondly, a number of years ago, I served on the board of directors of a financial investment company, and it had an environmental screen on that investment process, meaning that we only invested in those companies that met the environmental standards that we established. And the good news was that we were able to have that environmental screen and we made money. So it's quite possible for the state of Maine to divest from fossil fuels, to invest in other companies that are environmentally in line with what we're trying to do in the state of Maine, and continue to carry out the fiduciary responsibility of Maine Piers to have a fair return on investment to those people that benefit from the retirement system. So I submit the bill again because I think we should divest from fossil fuels. I think we should divest from for-profit prisons. I'm sure you've heard before that this is not unprecedented in the state of Maine, and that we had a similar policy in terms of South Africa. And in the 1980s, we divested from companies in South Africa and our support of ending apartheid. So I will conclude my comments at this point and simply say I know that Representative O'Neill presented a similar bill in regards to fossil fuel. And what I would just add to it is that I also think that we should consider for-profit prisons along with fossil fuel in terms of a divestment strategy. So thank you very much, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Representative Brennan. And I see that Representative Bradstreet has a question, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Representative Brennan, for bringing this forward. Regarding the divestment in for-profit prisons, and you stated that the goal is to have fewer prisoners. So the fact that we possibly do invest now in for-profit prisons has got nothing to do with the incarceration rates, but is it just the stigma, or is it just the stigma of investing in something that's for-profit while people are imprisoned, which is something we're trying to address?
Right. Well, I think that in the state of Maine, we are looking at any number of different strategies to reduce the number of people that are in incarcerated situations. Certainly, I've done a lot of work with the Juvenile Justice Task Force, and we're very focused on reducing the number of youth in the state of Maine that are incarcerated at Long Creek. Obviously, that's not a for-profit prison, but when you look across the country, again, I just go back, as I stated in my testimony, that for-profit prisons have a vested interest in incarcerating more people. And I don't think that is in line with the values that we have in the state of Maine at this point. And I would suggest that there are other ways for us to make sure that we have a fair return on our investment in the state of Maine without relying on investments in for-profit prisons.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me. Thank you. Yes, sir. Mr.
Thank you.
Representative Bradstreet, followed by Representative Sylvester.
If it were to be shown, and I have no idea if there's any evidence of this, that for-profit prisons in some ways treat prisoners better than non-profit prisons, would that change your thinking on this bill?
Well, the short answer, Representative Bradstreet, is no. And I think it's inherently a problem of having for-profit prisons. I think in other parts of the country, particularly in the Southwest, over recent years, we've seen some of the dangers of for-profit prisons, and when we've had to utilize those businesses and those companies to deal with a number of social issues. And so, no, I think it's inherently a problem having for-profit prisons.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you both. Representative Sylvester, please.
Thank you for bringing this bill forward, Representative Brennan. I think one of the things that I've seen is that in the literature and in talking to other state legislators is that often the lobbying from for-profit prisons is really the piece that helps to affect more incarceration, pushing bills that would have longer terms or wider nets, and fighting bills that would have the reverse cause, or fighting to have more money in the budget for incarceration rather than less. Those types of things. Would that be fair to say that those are examples of ways that for-profit prisons could affect incarceration?
For sure. And I think when you look at the literature, you will see that the for-profit prison industry spends a considerable amount of money on those type of lobbying efforts, both within individual states and nationally.
Thank you.
Sorry. Representative Drinkwater.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my good friend Mike Brennan over there. Miss seeing you on a daily basis. You know, you and I were at both ends of the table.
We were, and not just philosophically.
That's right. So it's good to see you. We heard that other bill, I think it's LD 99, about, for profit. And Maine peers testified that it's bumping up against the Constitution. I'd like to hear your reply to that, if you saw that during your lengthy reading of their investment strategies. And also, to follow up, what about, it seems to me that we're getting into the business of picking winners and losers of what our state can invest in. So I'm sure you would feel the same way about tobacco.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very fair question, Representative Drinkwater. And I guess, again, I would fall back on the precedent of South Africa, that the state was able to make that decision in the 1980s. And there were seemingly not a constitutional prohibition at that point. And I don't know why there would be a constitutional prohibition at this point. And in regards to picking winners and losers, I think that's our responsibility as state legislators. to not necessarily pick winners and losers, but to pick investment strategies that are compatible with the values we have as a state. And I think all of us, regardless of party affiliation, recognize the fact that we want to have a strong environment in the state of Maine. We want to have clean air and clean water, and we want to invest in those companies that reflect that value. And as I mentioned, my own personal experience and professional experience with an investment company and agency, that we were able to invest in those companies that were environmentally friendly and have a fair return on investment at the same time. So again, I don't think it's incompatible for peers to be able to pick those companies and invest in those strategies that are environmentally compatible with the state of Maine, and fulfill their fiduciary responsibility to manage and have an investment strategy that produces a fair return to retirees in the state of Maine. So I see this as a possible win-win situation where we're investing in those companies that are environmentally friendly, and that we're continuing to have the financial returns we're looking for.
Thank you, Representative Brennan. Look forward to the day we can see you in the State House.
Well, and I look forward to that day as well.
Sorry about that. Representative Gear?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Brennan, for being here on this bill. As Representative Drinkwater mentioned, we heard LD 99, and it was my first time as a new legislator hearing about how Maine Piers is managed. And so I went back and I actually read through the ESG document that they have. And I'm just curious, it seems like they're highlighting proactive investments in things that they want to encourage, like renewable energy. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm just curious, as in your research, have you come to an understanding of why they seem to be able to invest proactively and positively in things they want to highlight, but are somehow prevented from divesting from sectors that may be less positive or in pursuit of certain goals than others? Have you come to a better understanding of how they make those decisions?
Well, I certainly won't tell you that I came to a better understanding maybe than you did or that they do at this point. But and you're absolutely right, Representative Gare, that in their investment policy, they talk about environmental investments and some of the things that they're trying to do in terms of renewable energy. But I'll go back to my previous point in my testimony. After having read those 65 pages, I'm still not guaranteed that they're not investing in fossil fuel companies that I think find difficult, if not objectionable. And I'm sure anybody that's invested in mutual funds understands that you're buying a fund where you cannot easily identify who the companies are or what you're investing in. So I think it's problematic to simultaneously have the policy that they have and not be able to clearly identify the companies that are being invested in. And again, I mean, if anybody here has invested in mutual funds, you understand the fund that you're investing in, but not necessarily the companies.
Can I have a quick follow-up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Representative.
And just a quick one, Mr. Brennan. Just trying to figure out, did you find anything about using a socially responsible screen to identify funds, and in your reading of their documents?
I did not. I saw that was a goal, and that they were attempting to make sure that they were investing, as you mentioned, in renewable energy. But I did not see an environmental screen. And again, as I mentioned before, I have had the opportunity to be on the board of an investment fund that did use an environmental screen. And it was very effective and being both able to produce good returns, but also investing in companies that had good environmental records.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Bradstreet, please.
Thank you once again, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at today's main first testimony, but in it, they're talking about, for example, Chevron and Shell are now investing in new energy technologies that protect the climate. And shortly after the previous hearing on LD 99, I happened to be looking at the Wall Street Journal, and I think it was Shell made an announcement they were divesting of, or turning their attention more toward renewables than the traditional fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. But the strict reading of your bill, I believe, would preclude investing in Shell, even though they may be looking to invest in more green type of energy. Do you see a problem with that? Or?
Well, that's a really good point, and it's a good question, and it maybe goes back to what Representative Geer said. I think it may be possible to have a discussion about developing an environmental screen. And so rather than uniformly saying every company that produces fossil fuel we won't invest in, but that we have a screen that is environmentally friendly that would be able to pick and make decisions about what companies are most reflective of the environmental values that we want in the state of Maine. But at this point, I would lean towards even saying Shell, Exxon, Mobil, and those major fossil fuel companies, I'm not sure they should be in the investment portfolio of the state of Maine.
Thank you. Representative Geer.
Sorry, that's just a leftover hand.
Okay, that's no problem. Any other questions, please, of Representative Brennan? Sir, again, thank you very much for being here. I know it's a juggling act at times, but we appreciate your...
It was great to see all of you, and thank you for the opportunity to come before your committee, and I look forward to the work session, and good luck for the rest of the day.
You as well, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
The next person up is speaking for, I believe, will be Francesca Gundrum. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, looks like I'll jump in. Okay. All right, good morning, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and members of the Committee on Labor and Housing. My name is Francesca Gundrum. I'm Communications Manager for Maine Conservation Voters, and I'm testifying in support of LD 319. MCV protects Maine's environment and our democracy by making conservation, equity, and voting rights political priorities. Investments are a statement about the future. If we're investing in fossil fuel companies, then we're betting that they will continue to grow and make money by finding and developing more coal, oil, and gas reserves. If we're investing in for-profit prisons, then we're hoping our country will continue to imprison more and more citizens. Both industries are unmatched in their exploitative nature, and Maine would be prudent to keep its money as far from both as possible. Years of climate studies indicate that in order to keep warming below 2.7 degrees Celsius, the fossil fuel industry will need to leave at least 80% of their reserves of coal, oil, and gas unburned. We know that fossil fuel investments are a risk for investors and the planet. Young people from all over the country and world have been participating in fossil fuel and for-profit prison divestment campaigns for years, calling on their schools or colleges to divest their endowments from fossil fuels and for-profit prisons and reinvest in socially responsible funds. I got my start in this movement with my college's fossil fuel divestment campaign, Divest Dartmouth. My team and I organized the largest climate rally in the history of New Hampshire and brought national attention to using divestment as a unique strategy to combat climate and social crises and align our institutions with our values. Like the fossil fuel industry, for-profit prisons operate under the business model of excessive exploitation. The industry thrives on our nation's unprecedented rate of imprisonment and is a drain on government resources, communities, and taxpayers. The industry puts monetary gains above the public interest of safety and rehabilitation. Our nation's economy should not include locking people in cages for profit, and neither should Maine's retirement portfolio. We know that Maine divesting from fossil fuels and for-profit prisons won't bankrupt these companies financially, but it will bankrupt them socially and politically. Of all the institutions that ought to be looking out for the public good, surely our state governments are foremost among them. We have a responsibility to divest from the industries that are destroying our future and reinvest into climate and community solutions for Maine. The decision to divest Maine PERS from fossil fuel and for-profit prison companies carries symbolic weight and could influence other states to join us. Divestment from fossil fuel and for-profit prisons is the only moral choice for governments that care about the citizens and the future of their state. We must align Maine money with Maine values. I hope you take this opportunity to embrace our Dirigo motto and show that Maine is committed to responsibly investing in our society and our planet. Thank you, Representative Brennan, for presenting this bill to the committee. Maine Conservation Voters strongly supports this bill and urges you to vote ought to pass. Thank you for the opportunity to present testimony today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Any questions for Ms. Gundrum, please? Seeing none, we just want to thank you for being here today. Thanks for your patience and also for your testimony. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Thanks. Just want to confirm with Alyssa, I don't see any more folks speaking for LD 319. We do have a couple to speak against, and I believe the first up would be Sandy Matheson. Good afternoon.
Hi. Sorry, I was keeping it muted while my printer finished printing something.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
I didn't think you'd want to listen to that. Are you ready for me at this point?
We are. Thanks very much.
Okay. Well, good morning or maybe afternoon, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. I'm Sandy Matheson, the Executive Director of Maine PERS. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak to socially responsible investing and public pensions. Divestment interest can be wide-ranging. Current divestment legislation across the country right now includes fossil fuels, China, Facebook, and many others. As we previously shared, unconditional restrictions such as these run counter to fiduciary duty in that they eliminate investment opportunities based on advancing a cause, not on providing for member retirement. Permanently striking portions of the financial market is incompatible with earning optimal returns for member retirements, will not change corporate behavior, and may not advance and may even work against the social goals sought because investments are rarely one-dimensional. As talked about earlier, Chevron and Shell are now investing in new energy technologies intended to protect the climate. Similarly, this bill would likely prevent our investment in future technologies such as carbon capture, specifically developed to protect the environment. Maine PERS already considers issues such as these within the boundaries of our fiduciary duty to our members. We use our broad index fund stock ownership to voice concerns to companies on these issues. We know that our voice, along with other pension plans, can make a positive difference in corporate behavior. We would lose this important voice and tool if we remove portions of the index based on preferences. We also hold investments in private funds. While we are limited partners and do not have control over specific investment decisions, we do conduct months of intense research on each fund in which we consider a multitude of risk factors, including ESG, before making our decision to invest or not invest. And we welcome and regularly converse with stakeholders when they have concerns about one of our investments. We oppose divestment because it is inconsistent with our duty to members, impedes our ability to earn optimal returns, interferes with our ability to invest in changing markets and technologies, and our ESG policy already considers these factors, and we welcome further discussions with the committee.
Thank you very much. And we do have a question at this point from Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and nice to see you again.
Well, thank you.
When we went through this a couple of weeks ago on LD 99, your testimony was that it's your trust and that it goes against the Maine Constitution. And perhaps you could explain a little bit more, and maybe for the work session, I'd like to see in our Constitution what we are referring to.
Okay, sure. Did you want me to do that right now? I just have to draw the wording up. I'm not sure I have it handy.
Well, you can do that for the work
For the
session,
work
it's
session.
fine, but
Okay.
I would like you just to expand upon that one statement again, that about once it's placed in the trust, that it's your business, not the legislator's business.
It's a trust, and sure, we can do that. I mean, it's a trust fund.
Which
But we can
as
expand.
legislators, have no control over.
So we'll tell you, we don't give legal advice. We always suggest that you speak with the AG, who would be your legal advisor, but we can tell you how we read the Constitution and how we see trust law.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I was taking some notes, so I kind of lost track of the order, but we'll get everyone's questions heard. Starting with Representative Prescott, we'll go to Representative Bradstreet.
Well, thank you. The previous bill, I thought you would mention to get more detailed into what we invest in and don't, we'd have to have another department or develop something like that. I thought that was part of what you said before.
Can you ask that again?
Okay. Last time on the other bill, I thought you said that to get more detailed about how we invest into which companies, this one, not that one, instead of like just a portfolio. Right now you send it out and it all comes into one big ball. I thought you had said that we'd have to develop another department or hire people to specifically do investments.
So I think probably what I was referring to, when you start doing active investments in the stock market instead of passive, it's much more labor intensive and very much more labor intensive because you have to research every stock, you have to make, all of your analysis, and you're constantly trading. Whereas in a index fund, the market does that for you, and you gain exactly the same gains as the market, which I think we put in some supplemental information in the last 5 years, was, extremely good returns. So we gain in an index fund, we will get the identical gains of the total market versus what we would get if we hired a bunch of people to do our own analysis and make those decisions. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Representative Bradstreet, followed by Representative Sylvester and Representative Gear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Matheson, for being here today.
Sure.
I'm trying to recall the last bill, LD 99. Does Maine PERS look to get I think it's a 6.75% return on investments in order to sustain the fund?
Right now, that is our I would say 10-year earnings goal.
Okay. Now, and I think it was also an increasing challenge because of the low interest rates now to find proper
Yes.
investments to sustain that.
Mhm.
So if we constantly continue to narrow your choices in the long run, you'd have an even more difficult time of doing that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And
We are, by the way, looking to lower that return, what we look to earn, that will raise annual costs. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, but you have a trust is just that. You're entrusted with doing the best you can for the benefit of the people who are members. Is that
Right? We're named fiduciaries. The board, myself,
okay? Thank you.
the CIO. Mhm.
Thank you.
Representative Sylvester, please, followed by Representative Gear and Representative Cuddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is actually just for the work session. Steve, I'm wondering if we could request the Attorney General to look and see whether or not this bill is contradictory to the Maine Constitution, and also to get an interpretation on whether or not the fiduciary responsibility would be to get the best possible return or to get a good return. Or the best possible return within parameters, for example, as those set by the legislature. And so if you could reach out to the AG, Steve, that'd be great. Thanks.
And Representative Sylvester, I want to share with you, we don't look for the maximum return currently. We look for an optimal return, balancing risk and return on earnings limitations. So we're not trying to maximize everything right now.
I understood that, but we kept having discussions kind of going back and forth about what the role was. So I just thought it was a great suggestion of yours to reach out to the Attorney General. So
well, we don't offer the legal advice. We just
I understand.
give you a heads up.
Appreciate it.
Representative Gear, followed by Representative Cuddy and Representative Bradstreet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Matheson, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
I similar to what Representative Brennan had described, I had gone from our discussion about LD 99 and went through and read some of the documentation on the ESG practices. And I'm still, and we can be able to take this up in the work session, but I would like, just as I try to get my head around it, you know, when I read the fact that we have an ESG policy at all would seem to say that we do have considerations beyond pure returns that go into decision. And then, you know, so when just to give an example, so I'd like to just hear you talk. When within the main PERS organization, energy conservation is a priority. Well, that certainly doesn't necessarily, in my mind, have a direct relationship to getting the best return for members. That just is a statement of values. So can you help me reconcile this? Because I see a contradiction in what you're saying and then what we're actually already doing.
Right. So I think I explained the last time, now our index funds, those are made by the market. So you have to take those out of that decision-making process. But in our private investments, we look at every investment through a lengthy filter of all kinds of risks. And we look at the return and what are the risks. And we kind of weigh those. We don't absolutely say, we're not going to invest in this as a deal breaker or whatever. We look at a balance of each fund based on the risks of that fund. Now, we recognize, and this, I think this gets to your question, we recognize where the future is going. And we actually look for investments that are future technology oriented. And we want to know that funds we're investing with also understand that importance, because we think those are the businesses that are going to make the best long-term returns for us and succeed in their endeavors. Someone who is not aware of environmental impacts, not aware of other social issues that are going on, is not likely to make a good long-term investment for us, you know, and we're talking 5, 7, 10 years is long-term. So when we look at those investments, we're saying we think that's where the future is. It's not a deal breaker, bright line, red line. We're still looking for the optimal returns. We want to be working with good, responsible partners who are recognizing these issues impact long-term returns, because that's where the future is going. And quite frankly, that's where we're seeing our fund managers most excited about, right? I think I like to frame it that we're a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. Consumer demand and government action are the leading indicators. We could invest all we want in new technologies, but if there's no consumer demand for them, those funds aren't going to make any money. So it's a complicated set of factors that we look at, but we recognize these are important factors. We include them in our calculus. There are no drop dead, well, maybe some, if someone's performing illegal activities, that would be a drop dead. You know, we wouldn't invest with them, but we look at investments holistically, right? So we don't say, oh, you have some fossil fuels, we will not invest with you, when maybe the primary portion of their fund is new technologies.
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
I think we'll have to take that up with further discussion, because I still see a lack of differentiation between value statements and then investment considerations. And I think I see you talking about them as if they're the same thing. So
okay,
we can take that up later.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll give some thought to it in the meantime. I have others listening who will help me.
Thank you. I believe I have Representative Bradstreet followed by Representative Cuddy. And I'm sorry if it's the reverse.
No, okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick questions here. One is, to your knowledge, or off the top of your head, do you know if we have any investments in for-profit prisons? And secondly, I'm wondering if you get a lot of unsolicited recommendations from individuals, including representatives perhaps, as to how we should invest main purse funds.
Well, I'll answer number two. We do get a lot of unsolicited recommendations about how we should invest, and a lot of questions. We welcome stakeholders. We you know, whenever stakeholders call us with concerns, we welcome talking with them. The first part of your question, I believe we have about 150,000 in for-profit prisons out of our $16.7 billion fund in the index fund, in stocks. So that's not where we choose. In our private markets, I think we have no for-profit prisons, but sometimes they are service providers. So they're commissaries or whatever, and they provide commissary services. And we might have one or two of those. So it's not a large portion of our portfolio.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Cuddy, followed by Representative Gear.
Thank you, Senator. And no matter what the order was, I never mind if Representative Bradstreet goes ahead of me. He asks good questions. It works out nicely. Director Matheson, so I have two questions, but I think they're interconnected enough. I'm just going to ask them both, and you can work from there. So my first question is, how close to fully funded is the pension system? And then what is the effect of movements in the market on that closeness to being fully funded, if that makes sense?
Sure, it does. If you take the state teacher plan, if my memory serves me right, it's 82%. I can't remember if it's 82.2 or something like that, but around 82%. There is a 1996 unfunded liability portion of that, which I believe memory serves as about 1.87 billion, 1.8 billion. And that will be paid down by 2028. So each year, as we make money, either the unfunded or lose money lower than our 6.75, the unfunded grows or declines. Now that's tempered by changes in other factors, like is inflation increasing, is inflation low, other factors that can affect the cost, the annual cost of the fund. One of those that we're just looking at now, which is going to increase the cost of the fund, is mortality. We found we don't have the final results, but our experience study shows mortality is going up. And you have to take COVID as a totally separate factor. It doesn't affect our long-term assumption. So, so there's other factors that go into that funding equation. And a very important one of which is our work toward lowering our earnings assumption, because the long-term returns don't look robust. This is an unusual year. 5 to 6%, 6.5%, somewhere around there. And so we're looking at trying to lower our earnings assumption, which just raises annual costs. So it's kind of a complex combination of all of those factors. Market gains will decrease the UAL unless they're offset by other things like mortality, increased mortality, our decreasing our earnings rate, which protects the fund long-term, right, reduces further UALs. So it's that complex combination. Does that answer your question more or less?
It does. It did raise a question for me. When you say that mortality is going up, do you mean the mortality rate is going up?
Yes, lifespan is going up in our population. And we do keep an eye on this. It went up actually somewhat, it's significant enough to increase the costs going forward.
I had thought when you said mortality was going up, that the mortality rate was going up and there were more people passing away.
No, the opposite.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
It's always that good news, and then cost impact.
Before another hand goes up, I think I'll ask. So just for clarification, in terms of investment, there is or is not a moral consideration involved?
There is not a moral consideration involved. We look at factors which others may consider moral as practical considerations. We understand those are very important in the world and therefore very important to financial choices. We know that's where the market is going. We want to be investing with businesses that are very aware of their carbon footprint, all of those things that all the people testifying, are saying will be changing. We want businesses who are aware of those changes and are incorporating those considerations into their business decisions. So we don't make a moral judgment. We want to know that people we invest with understand where the world is going, that they're not blind to that.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
It does. If I'll have a follow-up if there are no other questions. And so I'm sure while you were in waiting, you heard Representative Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
He alluded to policies, or maybe, I'm not sure, divesting was the right term perhaps, but in the 80s when he was making reference to South Africa, was that just a judgment based on what you thought the market, at the time, the market was going to do? Was there a morality consideration in that change?
Well, we sent you some supplemental information where we talked about those two bills, prior divestment bills. I think I can say with certainty that the bill was passed, not of course by us, but the legislature, that was based on a, I guess to use that word, morality, not wanting to make a statement, not wanting to be invested in something that they saw as objectionable.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Any other questions of Ms. Matheson? Yes, Mr. Representative Prescott, sir.
Thank you. Are we invested in cobalt mining?
Well, I'd have to look up and see if there's any in our index, and I'll get that information for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of times, and most of those, like I think I shared before, are getting to be such small portions of the market that they shrink and shrink and shrink in our investments.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Again, Ms. Matheson, thanks to you for your testimony and most importantly, your expertise and commitment to Maine PERS. And
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have
Thank
a great
you very
afternoon.
much. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Moving along, we have, I think, Mike Colleran with us today as well, Alyssa.
He had just come along in case he needed to help answer any questions on behalf of Maine PERS.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Michael, for your availability. So no others against LD 319. I do see that we have Mr. McCabe speaking not for nor against.
Good afternoon, folks. Good to see you again. Chair Rafferty, Chair Sylvester, members of the Committee on Labor and Housing. My name is Jeff McCabe. I serve as the Director of Politics and Legislation for Maine Service Employees Association. Here today, neither for nor against the bill before you, LD 319. And I'm going to stray a little bit away from my written remarks and wanted to recognize the question from the committee in regards to a value statement. This is an issue that we struggle with as an organization. In recent conversations have sort of discussed the possibility of revisiting this with our board of directors as well as our general membership to possibly land in a different location in the neither for nor against category that we often come in on these divestment bills. The other piece I did want to say for folks is that we as an organization through our value statements and other social justice work believe that there should not be a for-profit private prison industry. And I know that was a question as well. That's something that we struggle with as an organization. Our international as well across the country struggles with that issue and really believe that if we're going to talk about actual prison reform, then that's something we should all be discussing. We think it takes away from the publicly funded and publicly staffed and publicly managed forms of corrections that we are frequently trying to approve here in the state of Maine. But for purposes of today, about approximately 75% of the workers that we represent through our collective bargaining agreements are participants in Maine PERS. These are workers who are currently contributing to their future retirement benefits. We also represent a number of retirees who receive monthly pensions based on their years of service. Conversations around divestment can be uncomfortable for our retirees, make people sort of concerned about what the future of those retirement funds might be. And that's frequently the reason why we land on this neither for nor against category. We strongly believe that we have more to do to educate our members about these types of discussions, and we'll be working on those in the future. At the same time, we continue to recognize that many members are leading efforts on behalf of the great state of Maine to fight and mitigate climate change. And for those reasons, we will continue to revisit this subject moving forward. Happy to take any questions at this time. And again, I appreciate your time and commitment.
Thank you again, Mr. McCabe. Any questions for Mr. McCabe while we have him? Seeing none, sir. Again, thank you for your testimony and appearing here today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. Alyssa, I believe that wraps up any testimony for LD 319.
That's correct.
Thank you. Hearing testimony that was presented and having none in waiting, I'm going to call the meeting on LD 319, the hearing, to a close. That said, excuse me, next up will be hearing on LD 397, and LD 397 is an act to recalculate retirement benefits for certain state employees adversely affected by merit pay freezes. And that bill is sponsored by Representative Pickett. I believe first person up to testify today will be Mr. McCabe.
Representative Pickett is here to present.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Thank you. Good afternoon, Representative Pickett.
Good afternoon, sir.
My apologies. I didn't mean to overlook you in any way, but thank you for being here.
May I proceed?
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. I'm Representative Dick Pickett. I represent House District 116, proudly serving the towns of Canton, Dixfield, Hartford, Mexico, and Peru. I'm here this afternoon to introduce LD 397, an act to recalculate retirement benefits for certain state employees adversely affected by merit pay freezes. In the 129th legislative session, I brought forth before this committee LD 1339, which was a housekeeping bill authorizing the implementation of LD 1677, passed in 2016, as amended, and then vetoed by Governor LePage. The 127th legislature, both House and Senate, I believe correctly, unanimously overrode the governor's veto. Despite that action, a bill was never fully implemented. Testifying before you today, I still am puzzled as to why not. LD 1339 was an effort to restore benefit fairness for some state employees who retired after March 1st, 2014 and before July 1st, 2015. Unlike LD 1677, this bill does not include lost wages due to longevity pay freezes. LD 1339 would have allowed members of the main public employees retirement system who retired on or after March 1st, 2014 and prior to June 30th, 2015, to include in the members' retirement benefit calculations wages lost to merit pay freezes, retroactive to the date of the member's retirement. It did not include wages lost due to longevity pay freezes. The exact same option for members to purchase back retirement credit for lost income had historically been common practice up until 2011. On July 1st, 2015, the option was reinstated for any member retiring on or after that date. Unfortunately, those retiring between 2010 and 2014 were not offered the same option as all other retirees. In simple terms, our state employee constituents who retired during this period should have been allowed to pay further retirement contributions and to collect retirement benefits based on that new computation. LD 1339 also directed Maine PERS to use the same notification process used in past years and deemed legally appropriate to inform the affected members of their rights. The bill before you today, LD 13397, simply authorizes a member of the Maine State Retirement System who retired on or after May 1st, 2014, and prior to June 30th, 2014, to include in the member's retirement benefit calculation wages lost due to merit pay freezes, retroactive to the day of the member's retirement. It does not include lost wages due to longevity pay freezes. This 2-month window will provide valuable information, I believe, to how many retirees are actually interested in buying back that lost income. I believe that we must identify and remove waste from our government spending so that the identified savings can be used to fund a fiscally responsible budget. However, I believe it is time to do the right thing by these retirees and treat all of our state employees, past, present, and future, fairly. These men and women work extremely hard and deserve our support. So on behalf of my constituent here with me today, who will be testifying shortly, and all others that have been adversely affected by merit pay freezes, I respectfully urge a unanimous ought to pass report. Thank you, and I would be glad to answer questions at this time.
Thank you, Representative. I see a question from Representative Sylvester and followed by Representative Prescott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome back, Mr. Pickett, Representative Pickett. I remember this bill well. And I'm wondering if you remember what the fiscal note was last time.
I believe, if you give me just a second here, I might be able to find that for you.
And if you don't have it handy right there,
I will have it for the work session.
That would be great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you both. Representative Prescott, please.
Well, thank you. In 2014 and 2015, that's pretty much when the economy was in the drink. Is this a direct reflection of that? What happened with these freezes?
There was a period of time in our government where we had pay freezes, and some were during the John McKernan administration, and some during Paul LePage's administration. And what ended up happening, these freezes went on for quite some time, and you are right, but the difference here, not the difference, but what has happened is there have been bills since that time that have tried to correct this issue. But this portion of people who've been adversely affected by this have never had the opportunity to buy their time back. Doesn't mean they will, but never had that opportunity. So they've got people before them that were always able to do this, and they got people retiring after them that are moving on to do this, but they're lost in this quagmire and can't do it themselves because of this time frame. And I'm just trying to, with this bill, what I've been trying for 6 years, this is my 7th year now, trying to get this to the point where we can actually get it so that these people can be fairly treated, in my perspective. It started out back in the 127th with a resolve, which went to the AFA committee, and the AFA committee, they passed it out. And what they did is they said they wanted it to go so Maine PERS and DAFs could identify the amount of people that potentially could buy this time back. And then what ended up happening in the 128, it was going to be under the committee of oversight, which in that case would have been AFA. If they wanted to, they could take and they could put out a bill, but that did not happen. They did not do that. So in the 129th, obviously, like I said, I brought back 1339, which I've talked about here in my testimony, and here we are today, 7 years later. And just to give some idea, just on one individual, the constituent who brought this to my attention, he's losing right now, and he has been ever since he retired, approximately $200 a month. He's got 6 years and 8 months. He's been losing this money. That's a total of $15,600 that he has lost already. So that just gives you a little bit of perspective of what's going on and why I think it's important for us to treat all of our employees fairly. We expect a lot from them, and I really think we should make sure all of them are being taken care of.
All right, thank you.
Thank you both. Excuse me, Representative Bradstreet, please.
You're muted.
Hit the wrong button. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Pickett, for bringing this up again. I just, for clarity's sake, the situation that these covered employees are in, or retired employees are in, has nothing to do with a choice that they made, either A or B back along, and now they wish to change the choice, but it was something that was placed upon them by either action or lack of action from the legislature or administration. Is that?
That is correct. That is correct.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions of Representative Pickett, please? Sir, thank you very much for being here today. Thanks for your testimony and your continued service. We appreciate your availability as we move into a work session at a later date.
Thank you, sir. I will be there.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
I believe we have up, excuse me, speaking for will be Jeff McCabe.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry, Representative, Senator Mirmont, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have testimony submitted, but I did want to speak for a minute on this as a co-sponsor, sorry.
Please do so, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, members of the committee. And as we are serving in the legislature, even for a short time, but definitely for a long time, you'll find bills that are just unfair. And I actually have one carried over from last time about a tax that was collected that wasn't supposed to be collected. But then when we find a way to undo that, we have to come up with money that was unfairly collected. Some of these things just don't seem right. So when Representative Pickett approached me about this, it's another one of those. Through no action of their own, these employees are suffering financial hardship, and it is a hardship because as the value of money continues to decrease, the cost of everything continues to increase, the value of money in their hands is reduced, and in another way, unfairly so. This bill's been heard before, it's been passed before. We need to get it through appropriations. We can't do that without getting it there. And we need to lobby for something that should never have happened to these folks. So I urge you to send this through, and then I will definitely be lobbying our appropriations folks to find money to fix this for these folks who are, they can't do anything in retirement. And I just really find it unfair. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of the senator? Seeing none at this time, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your testimony and continued work. Good to see you. Alyssa, if I'm correct, Is Mr. McCabe up next?
Yes, he is.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon again, Chair Rafferty, Chair Sylvester. My name is Jeff McCabe. I serve as the Political and Legislative Director for MSCA, which is the Maine Service Employees Association. We are here to echo the support and commitment that the bill sponsor, Representative Pickett, has continued to fight for this issue. Without diving into all the nuts and bolts in this testimony, I did want to say to the folks on the committee, these issues do come up from time to time. This one, unfortunately, has been around for probably longer than necessary. And these types of freezes do occur at different times within state government. Typically, they are in regards to the need for budget saving measures and other things. And then it's often the role of the legislature to make these folks whole. So I think it's typically the intention of these types of things to be temporary measures. And then the funding is appropriated through legislative action. And then the fix is there for these folks. This situation, unfortunately, has gone on for quite some time. Again, we just echo that we appreciate the bill sponsor for leading the effort behind this, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. McCabe. Do we have any questions, please, for Mr. McCabe? Appear to be none at this time, sir, but again, thank you for your testimony and availability. We appreciate you being here. Moving along, Alyssa, I think we have John Brown.
He should be coming in any second.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. It's always faster on Star Trek.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Good afternoon, Senator Rafferty and Representative Sylvester and members of the Housing Labor Committee. My name is John Brown. I'm from Oxford County, town of Hartford. I worked for the Maine Department of Transportation for 37 and a half years, and I retired on June 1st of 2014. I'm asking the legislature to allow those employees that retired between May 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2014 to be allowed to have their retirement benefits recalculated by Maine PERS. This request is to include in a retiree's final compensation the lost income credit that was incurred from the frozen merit time frame of 2011 through 2014. Having the option to purchase back retirement credits for lost income has always been common practice until 2011. The option was reinstated July 1st, 2015 for those retiring on and after that date. However, those retiring between 2010, 2014 were never offered the same option as all other retirees. LD 397 has been written to include only those that retired May 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2014. This 2-month window was intended to provide a lesser financial burden to the state budget. Also, this would provide information as to how many people are interested in buying back any of their lost income. These retirees should be afforded the same opportunities as those that have retired since July 1st, 2015. You may have a question that why did I retire while this was frozen? Well, I just wanted to let you know that I contacted Maine PERS on 2 different occasions, once in 2010, again in 2014 before I retired. And I was confirmed that I would be able to buy back that lost merit pay. Unfortunately, 4 months after I retired, they informed me that I could not buy that back because the legislators had not approved that yet. Another point is I don't think there's a lot of people who are severely impacted by this. Otherwise, I think there would be a lot more people testifying today, and basically Representative Pickett and I have been going this pretty much alone. So I don't think there's a lot of people who have that interest. And in closing, I guess I would just like to ask you all, if you were losing $200 a month out of your retirement, how would you feel about that? So I hope you will support this bill, and I appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your testimony and your ability to be here today. Any questions of Mr. Brown, please? Yes, Representative Bradstreet.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Brown, for being here again, with us again. I just want to get some clarification of buying back any lost income. That's the participants who will be buying that, or is it the responsibility of the state to buy that back?
I would be required to buy back my portion of that lost income that I incurred from those 3 years, which I'm ready to do. No problem there. But yeah, I would have a financial responsibility as well as the state and Maine PERS.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions of Mr. Brown? Sir, again, thank you very much for your testimony and your presence with us today and clarifications. Appreciate it very much.
If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me at any time.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe we have one other person here to testify, and that is Ms. Moran, again, from Maine PERS. She is speaking neither for nor against the bill. Ms. Moran, welcome back.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Senator Rafferty, Representative Sylvester, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Labor and Housing. I am Kathy Moran, Manager of Actuarial and Legislative Affairs for Maine PERS. Maine PERS is testifying neither for nor against LD 397. We are here to provide information and offer assistance to you. Included with our testimony is a report that Maine PERS submitted to the Joint Standing Committee on Appropriations and Financial Affairs in January of 2017. That report was the result of Resolve Chapter 78, which directed Maine PERS to work with DAFs to identify retirees for whom retirement benefits were impacted by pay freezes and to determine the costs associated with including those lost wages and benefit calculations. No legislative action was taken in response to that report, but we're providing it to you today as background information for LD 397. By way of information, this issue was considered by the 129th legislature in the form of LD 1339, which was voted at a committee ought not to pass. While the 2017 report included approximately 1,600 retirees, LD 1339 would have impacted approximately 530 of the retirees included in that report. LD 397 before you today would impact approximately 80 of the approximately 1,600 retirees included in the original report. This bill would permit retirees who retired between May 1, 2014 and June 30, 2014, and whose benefits were impacted by certain pay freezes to include those lost wages in their benefit calculation. LD 397 will have a fiscal impact because the Constitution does not allow the creation of new or additional benefits unless immediately and fully funded. Based on the retiree data used in the preparation of the 2017 report, we estimate an approximate $600,000 increase in the UAL, and that's what would need to be paid as part of the enactment of this bill. As indicated, the original analysis included both lost merit and longevity pay wages, while LD 397 includes only lost wages due to frozen merit pay. We do not expect excluding longevity pay will significantly reduce the cost estimated from the original analysis. And again, thank you for your consideration of the testimony, and I'll be happy to answer questions and be available at your work session.
Thank you, Ms. Moran, again. And I do have some a question at this time. Representative Drinkwater, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Long time no see. Listen, you're saying in LD 397, it would impact approximately 80 of the approximately 1,600 retirees included in the original report. And then you're saying based upon your analysis, it would cost about 600,000. Was that based upon just those 80 people?
That's correct.
And in your experience, which is vast, if you open that door and you're saying 1,600 retirees could be signed up for this if they wanted to be, have you seen, a rush to sign up for it?
For those who have been allowed, and as indicated by prior testimony, there were people before 2011, and there have been people since 2015 who have been allowed to to pay their contributions and include this. It's an individual choice as to whether it's beneficial to a person. In the situation of Mr. Brown, it sounds like he's experienced a significant financial loss in benefits. And would be more beneficial for him to include it. It really is case specific in terms of how much lost wages a person has experienced. I can get you some information for the work session as to what our statistics look like in terms of people who have in fact executed that option if it's been made available to them.
I think that would be very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Representative Sylvester, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for offering that information, Ms. Moran. It would be helpful if we could get, without, burning the midnight oil, a rough estimate of how many folks have been offered such a buyback and a rough estimate of how many, so we could come up, we don't need to know to the person, but just, are we talking about 10%? Are we talking about 80%? Are we, that would be very helpful, I think.
Sure, we'll see what we can put together for you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you both. Any other questions, please, of Ms. Moran? Seeing none, Ms. Moran, we'll, again, thank you very much and look forward to seeing you again at the work session for some clarifications. I appreciate you being here today, your testimony and your expertise. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Melissa, I do not see any other folks ready to testify.
Yep, she was our last one.
Okay, so being the last one and hearing all testimony relative to LD 397, I'm going to call that hearing on that bill to closure. Folks, that's kind of it for today. I do have an announcement to make, a reminder from Steve that I'll share in a moment, but I just, again, want to thank you folks for your work and being attentive in all these sessions. I know it's not the easiest conditions to work under and there's a lot to digest, but I think you're doing a great job of doing so. And I thank you for your efforts and look forward to our continued work. Tomorrow, there is a reminder that we do have a 1 o'clock Appropriations Committee at 1. That's going to be public testimony on the governor's biennial report. The link should be coming to you soon. Steve, you're saying if we're hearing it tomorrow, yeah, we should be getting that link by the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that the committee might be sending out reminders. So similar to how you receive the supplemental, If you don't receive the link sometime tomorrow morning, then please reach out to me or feel free to call the Office of Fiscal and Program Review, as those are the folks that will be sending out the link. So definitely feel free to reach out if you don't see it in your inbox. And it might also be a case of you might want to check your spam filter, because it might be coming directly from Zoom, and sometimes things end up there that shouldn't end up there.
Thanks, Steve. Representative Sylvester.
Just a helpful tip I discovered not too long ago is if you do a search for Zoom, rather than trying to find the person who might have sent you this, you get a list of all the emails that say Zoom in order of when they were sent. And that often makes it much, much easier to find the ones we're looking for. Often it's me trying to find the one for today. So just pro tip.
I'm sure that that's a lengthy number either way. But, and Steve, just for clarification, when we're done, I'll probably give you a ring just to ask a question. All right. Anything else for today? Any announcements, concerns, or folks? Again, thanks for all you're doing, and please, don't hesitate to reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help out in any way, and I'll do the same with you. Alyssa, Steve, thanks for being here, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Go on.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.